It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us as well at randykabc@gmail.com. And wherever you get your podcasts, search for the KABC News Blitz and hit subscribe. Gavin Newsom just signed a big aid package to help with these fires here in Los Angeles County. He was in the Pasadena-Altadena area with almost every local elected official you could imagine, as they all wanted to look really good. Let's start with Gavin's opening act, the warm-up guy, Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas.
Thank you, Pastor, for those words and to help put things into perspective for all of us. Last week, my colleagues and I, John Harbedian, who represents this region, who's here, we made a commitment to act quickly.
You mean in your special session that had nothing to do with this?
To act urgently, to help those affected by these catastrophic wildfires. And now we're here this afternoon. We're delivering on that commitment. Urgent.
We signed a bill that aids with $2.3 billion that we're getting reimbursed by the feds. We did it, everybody. Now let's all pat each other on the back and talk about how great our leadership is.
Urgent action. $2.5 billion.
Leadership would have been doing everything to make sure fires like this don't happen. We still don't know the cause of any of these fires.
$2.5 billion to help the people of LA immediately. This critical funding will expedite the cleanup of devastated neighborhoods like nearby Altadena, where so many of our communities of color have been, they're displaced.
This guy is not ready for prime time. Robert Rivas is new to being the speaker and apparently new to public speaking. I know he has a little bit of a stutter, but still.
In Palisades, thousands of people have lost their homes, lost their livelihoods. And this funding also accelerates planning to rebuild LA schools and speeds up inspections and permitting to help rebuild homes. I want to thank our governor for his leadership.
There we go. It took 1 minute and 15 seconds of Robert Rivas' speech to thank Gavin Newsom for his leadership. That's what they all do. They all talk about how great they are with each other. They all talk about what a great job they're doing. If every single one of these electeds is doing such a great job, then why does LA look like a disaster zone? Why have we had so many nonstop fires and no one's telling us what the cause is? The response has been great to knock some of these down after the first day where it was too windy to fly. But why are we not dealing with some of the other aspects of this fire, like the fact that you cannot get around in this city when one freeway is closed? It's impossible. All right, Robert Rivas thanked Gavin for his leadership, so we're done with him. Let's go to Mike McGuire, the State Senate Pro Tem. Mr. Hogwash.
Thank you so much, Speaker Rivas. And I want to take a moment to be able to acknowledge Speaker Rivas for his leadership.
Okay, I'm done with you. Mike McGuire has nothing else relevant to say because, of course, the first thing we're going to do is thank the Speaker of the Assembly for his leadership. Shouldn't we start with the firefighters? No. All right, let's see how Gavin does with this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, guys. I haven't had a chance to turn around and express my gratitude to,
by the way, Karen Bass was not allowed to speak at this presser.
Each and every one of you, particularly the men and women in uniform that have been working tirelessly, including just got back from the Hughes fire. Incident command up there with our...
At least he's talking about the firefighters first before talking about how great the State Senate Pro Tem and the Assembly Speaker are.
U.S. Forest Service in L.A., city and county firefighters, CAL FIRE. The job they did last night, 4,000 personnel putting out that fire, saving the community. Had we not had the resources all assembled in this region, the success of last night and this morning would not have materialized. And it's just a reminder of the moment we're in, the moments that we are confronted with today, tomorrow, as we work through what we hope is the last of the red flag warnings.
Please let this be over. I am so sick of it. I'm so sick of the destruction. I'm so sick of the bad air quality. I mean, it's been 16 days of fire hell. Enough already.
PDSs, and we hope to enjoy a little bit of respite this weekend with a new challenge, and that is a little bit of rain.
The hashtag LA rain is already starting, and the rain hasn't even started.
And the issues that will transpire as a consequence of that. But I'm here with the spirit that I think defines the comments of all of the speakers. Pastor, I appreciate you saying we're all moving together, we're all working together. In the spirit of what the pro tem said, I will add this: we're all in this together.
We got your back. We've got you. We're prepared. We're all doing such a great job.
I'm mindful. Just a few days ago, we celebrated.
Took 1 minute and 30 seconds for Gavin to get mindful.
I'm mindful. Just a few days ago, we celebrated Martin Luther King Day, who reminded us that we're all bound together by a web of mutuality. And I think that's the spirit that defines this moment and the urgency that brought the Assembly and the Senate together. And brought members not only of both houses together, but both parties together. I want to thank Tom Lackey for being here, in particular, took the time to come down.
They got a token Republican. It's bipartisan.
As an expression of bipartisan support, not just supporting this bill. I want to thank the Speaker and the pro tem for their fierce sense of urgency.
If he was about to say leadership, I was about to dump Gavin. They all have to know, right, how bad it looks in the middle of a disaster to continue to thank each other for their leadership.
To move this forward to the budget chairs that are here, I want to thank them. I want to thank everybody that cleared the deck, didn't play politics with this, that recognized...
You mean while they were at the special session that was nothing but playing politics?
That recognized that people are in need. And as the pastor reminded me and others the other day when we had a faith meeting, people feel... helpless, but not everybody feels hopeless. And I think this is about distilling a sense of hopefulness. The pro tem didn't tell you, a little bit, I'll fill in a little bit more about the history of his district and the Tubbs fire.
We got to go through a history lesson of all the massive wildfires that have burned on these people's watches.
And the impact time we thought.
And what have we learned since then? What have we done? I understand bolstering the fire response. That's great. Having 4,000 firefighters on that Hughes fire yesterday, incredible. The air response, when we can use it, incredible. But what have we done to prevent these fires from starting? And I'm not talking about in parts of the Central Valley or Northern California where you get these lightning storms. There's obviously not much you can do about that. But we have yet to mention the cause of any of these fires. And I don't know what they are, but fires don't just start. So we need to, one, know how they started. I mean, heck, we still don't know how the fire under the 10 freeway started. Gavin said it was arson, but we never caught anybody. But we need to know how they started, and then we need to do everything possible, I don't care how expensive we say it is, to make sure that that factor is no longer a thing. If it's the utilities, then we got to spend every dime we can, reallocate every budget resource possible, and get money from the feds to underground the power lines, because that's cheaper than what we're doing now. If it's the homeless, then we got to get all of them off the streets. And if they refuse, they got to go in the loony bin. If there's another cause, I'd love to know what it is. But usually in California, it's column A or it's column B.
And the impact time.
Or it's a battery plant in Monterey County that sparks because that technology is not really all there yet. And we have relaxed every regulation possible to build these things in population centers.
And the impact time, we thought 2017, we'd never see a fire like that again until 2018. And 85 people lost their lives in the Camp Fire, 18,000 structures.
And what was our response in that? Oh, that's right. Bail out PG&E, screw over a lot of the fire victims. And then as PG&E started raising rates left and right to underground the power lines, because they're not going to pay for that out of their profits, they're going to jack up the rates on everybody. Gavin said, well, now things are getting too expensive. You guys don't need to underground the power lines. And I don't know if that's the cause of any of this. But if it is, then that's something we got to do now. Nothing will be more expensive than letting another one of these fires happen.
You know, it's remarkable. I was reminded by the pro tem and others, 80+% of Coffee Park, community impacted by the Tub fires, are back. Kids are back in school.
Like 7 or 8 years later, woohoo.
Just 2 weeks ago, one of the largest insurers in California announced they were reinsuring homes in Paradise, California.
7 years later.
Because the community is moving back in. So I say that, again, to distill a sense of hopefulness about the moment we're in and the stress and anxiety so many people are feeling. And so that's the why. That's why we're here. This money will be made available immediately.
Boy, there's a lot of patting themselves on the back for allocating a piece of the budget towards making sure that we can pay all our contracts. It's almost like all these people are addicted to being on TV.
$2.5 billion, as was said by the speaker, for ongoing operations and disaster recovery, debris removal, work on logistics.
Does that mean we can get professionals to remove the debris? Because yesterday, Barbara Ferrer was telling residents if they want to remove debris, they got to use a mop. Not making that up.
Traffic management, address all the myriad of issues that we're facing in real time.
Traffic management. Have you seen the traffic out here? Believe you me, I have been chomping at the bit to do a whole hour on how awful the traffic has been this week, but I'm sure it'll be terrible next week, so we'll do it then. This was more pressing because this just happened.
Traffic management, address all the myriad of issues that we're...
Also, traffic management is something we should definitely talk about when it comes to the mitigation of the damage of these wildfires. If it wasn't so awfully bottlenecked to get out of the Palisades, people wouldn't have abandoned their cars. If they didn't abandon their cars, the fire trucks could have got through. Maybe they could have done a little better of getting this thing out when it was small. Maybe. That was a devastating day. I understand. But the fact that it is so difficult to get around here means that in an emergency, it's so difficult to get around here.
Traffic management, address all the myriad of issues that we're facing in real time. But we want to get these dollars out in real time, so there's no anxiety and stress associated with that.
Okay, so what Gavin is talking about is stuff that does not affect you directly. You, the resident, either somebody that you yourself or someone you know and love lost something major in this fire, you don't need to know, okay, the contractors are going to make sure that they get paid for the next thing. So this is pat myself on the back. Look how great we are.
We'll be talking a lot more in the upcoming days about next level film.
I mean, there's no legislation here that changes any rules or makes sure that we harden our building codes. So if you build in the fire zones, you've got to have these new roofs that have got the automatic sprays and the retardant. There's no talk about making sure that that reservoir that was empty was filled. Whether that had something to do with the fire or not doesn't look good.
We'll be talking a lot more in the upcoming days about next level philanthropic efforts. We'll continue to do more to raise the bar of expectation and excellence as it relates to the work that FEMA and the SBA are doing, the work that our state and local partners are doing at the DRC.
Yes, tell us how great Karen Bass is when she's snappy with reporters. And notice she was at this presser, but not allowed to speak.
At the DRCs and continue to be mindful in closing.
Second mindful is at 4 minutes, 22 seconds if you're keeping score. And I want to point out something else.
And continue to be mindful in closing.
Gavin never wraps up when he says he's going to wrap up. Now, this is just something that I noticed because I cover a lot of Gavin Newsom press conferences. But at 4 minutes and 23 seconds into Gavin Newsom's speech, he says in closing, he's going to go on for another minute and a half. So he's not closing just yet. He's about 3/4 of the way through.
That we need to fill the gaps, but also the gaps of understanding. Altadena is a very different community.
Who just did that? Did you hear it?
Altadena is a very different community.
Let me just boost this up. It's going to be difficult because it's very much in the background, but there's somebody, whether it's Robert Rivas, whether it's Mike McGuire, or the other dozen assembly members and state senators who needed to be on that podium today, but somebody had to be Gavin's hype man.
Altadena is a very different community.
Right? Why? Why are you doing this?
Altadena is a very different community.
When the infrastructure bill got passed, Gavin Newsom hired Antonio Villaraigosa to be the infrastructure czar. And he did one press conference with Tony V. And Tony was doing that the whole time Gavin was speaking, like, preach it, church. Tony V was never heard from again.
Than the Palisades. Altadena is a special community in every way. Every community is special, but few communities like Altadena. Pastor talked about generational realities, generational wealth, memories, moments.
Now we're just saying words. And yeah, there are some real concerns because people who lived their whole lives in a place like Altadena, who were lucky enough, their grandparents passed on their home to their parents passed on their home. There's not really a whole lot of other places where you can afford to live right now.
Yeah.
If your home was paid off free and clear and you're in your 70s or 80s, how exactly are you supposed to afford anything in the same relative area?
Heirloom.
Or anywhere close?
Heirlooms. Passed on for...
Someone did it again. Gavin saying random words.
Memories, moments. Heirlooms.
He went, yeah. I got to boost that for you again. What is going on at this press conference? And what's the point of it outside of we all want to pat ourselves on the back for our leadership?
Heirlooms. Passed on for generations. And a community that just wants to know we have their back, not just today, but that we're going to...
Did LA County have their back when they only sent out the emergency alert to half of Altadena and they sent the other half 8 hours later when the fires were raging? I don't know if the county had their back then.
Not just today, but that we're going to be back when all of you are gone, the cameras are gone.
Most of those are local reporters who have been doing a killer job covering these fires. So to be like, well, we're going to be here when you're not.
When all of you are gone.
I see the local TV news out here. They do a great job of covering this county. They do a great job of covering this city. That's rude.
The cameras are gone. And over the course of the next months and years, and make sure they come back, that this community is not displaced, that people don't come in and take advantage of a crisis. And so I want to just express a deep understanding and appreciation, a recognition of that, and a deep recognition of our responsibility to provide for this community in a unique and culturally competent way. With that, I'm honored, thank you, to sign these two bills.
All right, he's signing the bills. Woohoo! And he did that thing where he takes a 20-minute break in between signing the bills and the Q&A because he hopes most people will tune out and not watch the Q&A. But guess who sat there in his car in silence and waited for Gavin to come back so he could hit record? This guy. We got the Q&A coming next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang as we cover Gavin Newsom's self-congratulatory press conference on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're going through Gavin Newsom's self-congratulatory Thank Us All for Our Leadership press conference on signing a bill in the special session to add $2.5 million to our coffers to deal with the wildfires that are still raging through Los Angeles County. After Gavin Newsom signed the bill and got all the applause and all the cameras were on him, the knives were out as the reporters had a bunch of questions. Most of them about Trump's visit tomorrow, but some of them about wildfire preparedness. We'll get to all of that next, but first, hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Lewis Black to the Orpheum Theater on February 1st. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. It's a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're going through Gavin Newsom's pat myself on the back for my leadership press conference on signing $2.5 billion of wildfire aid with every possible elected official on the podium with him. We're going to get to the Q&A of that press conference, but first, let's go to your calls at 800-222-KABC. Start with Dave in L.A. Dave, hello.
Hey, Randy. Okay, the other day you were talking about the ADUs. This has to do with SB 9, and you were talking about one of the key things, and callers are calling in, how they're building these on property, these multi-level housing where they shouldn't be, and it's going to take up everybody's parking. Well, here's the deal. OurNeighborhoodVoices.com, we are pushing a ballot initiative to stop this, and the goal is to raise $5 million to fight it and get it on the ballot, to get local control to stop this. And this also has something to do with these RENA housing mandates where Newsom is forcing every city to do like 3,000 units in their city by a certain number of time. It's totally.
Oh, you're totally right. And it also has to do with the fires, because if we don't have the correct infrastructure, if we're overbuilding in certain areas or adding density but not adding the places to drive, they're going to have these log jams when you have fires, and people are going to be abandoning their cars. So, yeah, we got to really look at what we're doing, all this expediting of the ADUs, turning single-family homes into lots for 4 or more. I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense. We got to do a whole lot of rethinking when we start rebuilding in these burn areas. Thanks so much for the call, Dave.
Reference.
Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Greg in Vegas. Greg, hello.
Hey, Randy, I love your show. I stream you all the time. I'm from California and moved to Vegas to buy a house. I live in a newer neighborhood. It's about 20 years old. All our power lines are underground, and the main power lines that they built in this neighborhood are made out of concrete, 2-3 feet thick. They ain't blowing down, they ain't burning. We did it right, you know. I mean, there's nothing to burn out here, obviously, but if the houses start catching fire, we got problems. So, you know, it's easier to fix the infrastructure when it's new, but California just doesn't want to fix stuff.
You're totally right, and it can be done. Thanks so much for the call, Greg. Appreciate it. There are some communities that already have done this in California. There are certain countries like Norway, they put all of their lines underground. It can be done. Now, what are the power lines the cause of these fires? Don't know yet. They still haven't told us the cause of any of it. But the power lines have been the causes of so many destructive wildfires, it seems like the cheapest option is to underground them now. But you know what happened? Because PG&E, of course, is going to make sure that they get profits over everything else. Instead of mitigating their risk by putting those lines underground, they jacked up everybody's rates to the point where it's so unaffordable to pay for energy up in Northern California. People started screaming at Gavin Newsom, and then Gavin said with an executive order, you know what, maybe we don't need to underground the power lines. So which one is it? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Larry in Lakewood. Larry, hello.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate all your work. I just want to throw a thought your way about how we deal with the homeless issue. Obviously, throwing good money at a bad problem hasn't done anything. I've written to the state Senate about this. We have closed down military bases all over this great state that we, the taxpayers, pay for upkeep. So why don't we make those centralized homeless encampments? They have clean restrooms. They have shelter. We get everybody centralized. And at least we're not throwing good money at a problem that doesn't seem to be getting better. Just a thought.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic idea. It seems so simple, but it makes no sense why we're not doing something like that. And of course, when you talk to the locals, they say, well, it's inhumane to centralize the problem because these people are from the neighborhood, even though most of the people are not from the neighborhood. I'm telling you right now, there is going to be a lot of uprising, a lot of outrage, and a lot of hell to pay if we find out one of these major wildfires was started by the homeless. And again, All we have to look is what LAFD Chief Crowley said when she first got into office, that 50% of all fires set in Los Angeles every single day were started in homeless encampments. 50%. So if any of these were started, then we have to realize what a huge wildfire risk upon everything else of the humane disaster that is the homeless problem is. And these people got to get off the streets immediately. I don't care if it's into a mental institution or a prison or a housing or whatever, or the brilliant idea of the military bases, but no more encampments, nowhere, because of a fire risk. I live near the Sepulveda Basin. And there's a homeless encampment in the Sepulveda Basin that lights a fire in that area near the historic nature preserve, federal land, almost every month. And what do you know? One of those fires was right after the Horrica Palisades fire. They knocked that one down quick, but holy cow. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. You know, if you all just keep calling in, I'm not going to get to play this Gavin Newsom sound, and I'm going to have to play it tomorrow on Johnny's show. But I'd rather take the calls. Let's go to Laura in Orange County. Laura, hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. The reason I called in, I was driving into my complex, and I was listening to your show, and I'm sitting in the car waiting for you to hear. I was waiting to hear the Gavin Q&A because, and I'm just here. He's got to resign. He has destroyed, I've lived in California my whole life. He has destroyed California. Where was the water? Why can't we have any water? I mean, it's just ridiculous. He has to go. He's got to go.
Well, and he won't admit to the failings. He'll say, no, we've done everything possible. We've spent so much money, but every dime he has spent has not been effective. The worst wildfires we've ever seen have happened under his watch, and they're getting worse.
Exactly. I mean, I understand about there is homeless that do encampments, but let me say, if you had water coming down, I also live in Northern California too, and I understand where the water is, and going out into the Pacific Ocean, that's not. I mean, it's so frustrating being a Californian and watching. It just upsets me watching our state burn because of his.
I totally feel you.
Him and Bass, the stupidity. This is stupidity. I'm sorry.
Would it have completely... I totally understand it, Laura. I feel the same way. I don't know if it would have completely stopped these fires from happening, but having better management would be a good start in making sure something like this does not happen again. Thanks so much for the call, Laura. You have a great day.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Derek in Huntington Beach. Derek, hello.
Thank you for answering the phone. I got a few things I got to say real fast because I know a lot of people are waiting. Okay, we're in El Nino, correct? Okay, and we're not getting any rain on account. People's got to start looking up. I'm going to give you something to look for. It's called The Dimming on YouTube. And another guy, his name is, his handle is, he's Climate Watch.
Oh, we're in a La Nina, not an El Nino, but I don't know what that means either.
No. They're creating it from Ben Lomond all the way to Mexicali. All these planes, they're spraying some crap up there. Mysterious.
Okay. That show is on at 11 o'clock at night. I think it's called Coast to Coast. They'll take your call and they will entertain that. But I don't think the drought is man-made. Hey, maybe it is. I don't know. Welcome to your opinion. You let one person give out a website, and then they all call in wanting to give out their website. But hey, the lines are open. We're here for you. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Susan writes in and says, Randy, thanks for your righteous outrage in response to the sickening self-congratulations from Newsom and the clones. So they were in my neck of the woods today, huh? Gee, too bad I missed it. Today, when it's finally hitting my husband and I how close we came to losing our house that not only holds our life savings, but the years and years of blood, sweat, and tears we invested in it. When it's finally full on hitting us how many friends and acquaintances did lose their precious homes in this area, the empty reservoirs, the slashed fire budgets, the not even bothering to adds up to Newsom and Bass and the rest of them accidentally on purpose letting it all burn to the ground. It's all words, words, words for Newsom and the gang before and during and after. The shameless blah, 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 and the self and other backpatting and never any action or reality of any kind. They steal all of our money that can't account for it ever and have no shame or conscience about it. Disgusting, sickening pod people, completely horrified and sad and disgusted by all of it, and this is how they act. Susan, I feel your pain. Let's go to Joe in Hemet. Joe, hello.
Hey, Randy. Couple of things. First of all, Trump is coming, the great Trump, and he said he would hold money back. Well, that's fine, but one suggestion, and I know he's not going to listen to me, it's just a thing I thought of. If he gives them money, Stallone and Mel Gibson and what's his name, who's a great actor and a great guy, they shouldn't be able to cash a check, this scum Newsom, unless those three people sign the check too and see where the money's going. That's the first thing, because you can't trust Newsom or Bass mayor. And then the second thing is it possible Trump could come in and say, look, we're not giving you a dime till you resign, Newsom, Bass, everybody. And here's the other thing. It's terrible what happened, but we should be 300,000 people wherever Newsom is and be yelling at him at the top of our lungs, get lost and Bass and don't come back. We need to stick together in California. We're still not. This is disgusting. These people, I think, ought to be in jail for some kind of offense of killing these people, whether it's manslaughter or not. Everybody, that's what we need to call for. All this talk's great. We need to show up and shame them and demand, please, Donald Trump, no money unless you all resign. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be a fascinating press conference, I'll tell you that. Joe, thank you so much for your passion as always. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Gavin. Gavin, hello.
Hey, Randy, did anybody ask Gavin about his explanation to that fire victim at Pacific Palisades that he was on the phone with Joe Biden?
Oh, that's what you're talking about. See, Bill, I'm so sorry. It said on the screener, Newsom fake call. So I thought you were going to call in and do a fake Newsom voice. But no, you're going to talk about something real. So let me reset here. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hi, Randy. Yeah, if you told me that, I would have done some grunting. That guy makes the weirdest noises, as you pointed out. Every time he grunts, there's another lie coming. That's what I figured out the algorithm. But has anybody ever asked him, don't you feel kind of strange that you got caught lying on camera to that fire victim about talking to Joe Biden?
I'm on the phone with the president right now. No, you're not. Biden ain't even taking your call. You can't even get a bar on your sat phone.
Right. So,
Bill, thanks so much for the call. As always, buddy. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. When we come back, we'll hear what Gavin Newsom has to say about wildfire preparedness. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Here's what we're going to do. We got a lot of people on hold. I'm going to play this Gavin Newsom Q&A tomorrow, right at noon on the John Phillips Show, as he gets asked about his relationship with Trump and the preparedness and all this other stuff. But right now, we're going to get to the calls. I got 3 of you on hold. Try to go for 45 seconds or less so we can get to everybody. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Randy, I just hope the benefit concert really produces a lot of money and it actually gets to the people that really need it.
I agree. I love the idea of the benefit concert. I think it's a beautiful thing. But sometimes when you see these things, you want to know, where is the money specifically going to go? If it's going to go to the pockets of the people that lost their homes, I love that. But if it's going to go to a bunch of organizations that are going to supposedly help them, I'd love to know where exactly it goes. That's a great question, Dale. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Jerry in LA. Jerry, hello.
Yes, hello. I'm calling regarding if they refuse to help the fire victims in California, federal relief. And that's a big hit. I mean, California contributes a lot to the federal government as far as IRS income taxes. Would it be safe to say that California should not give any federal, do not be charged for taxes anymore? Since they're not helping out?
You make a great point. You make a really good point, because some of these states in the South contribute very little to the tax base, and they have tons of devastating natural disasters all the time. I don't think the federal government is going to completely cut off funding. That would not look good to anybody. And, you know, as partisan as we want to be, there are plenty of people in LA County that supported Donald Trump, and that would be foolish. So I don't think that's going to happen. But you make a very good point about California's tax base.
Yeah, I would say just if it would happen, I mean, something like that would come up and say, well, why will we contribute taxes if we're not getting any help? It doesn't make any sense, right? I'm just wanting to put that out there.
It's an interesting conundrum. Jerry, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Lynn. Lynn, hello.
Hello, I'm on the freeway. I got a suggestion. When Trump is in town tomorrow, he should tell Newsom that, we'll give you Fed funds, but I want to appoint former Governor Pete Wilson, who successfully helped LA out after the earthquakes, to manage the money that the federal government gives to the state. And then in the city, he wants to bring in America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, to take over and fix the city. And that's how federal government money will be spent. These pros who know what they're doing can come in and tell these clowns from California how to do it.
Very interesting concept, Lynn. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Although I'd put Rick Caruso in charge. I think he'd know LA better than Rudy. Thanks so much for the calls, everybody. We're going to play you the sound from this Gavin Newsom press conference, the Q&A on the John Phillips Show tomorrow at noon. And I'll be back here for a happy hour Friday. You can hear me every single day, 5 to 6. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.